Alright. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Bakar Kodash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone with you well. Hey, salutations to the hopeful elect out there, man. You Akim Tasadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shemon, and this week's quick topic I'm going to do for y'all is going to be entitled The 11th Hour. And what I'm going to do is, just shed a bit more information on that particular scripture in Matthew's 20th chapter, and let's see what the Lord meant by the 11th hour, right? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to the book of Matthew chapter 20 verse 1. Alright, now this is our Lord Yahushua speaking. Yahushua is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. In the Hebrew, his name is Yahushua. Yah meaning he, Yahushua meaning deliverer, because he's going to deliver his people. Alright, Matthew 1:21. Who's his people? Hebrews 7:14. Alright, the Lord, it's evident that our Lord sprang out the tribe of Judah. Judah is one of the sons of the 12 tribes of Israel. Alright, pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy 28 chapter, Romans 8:16, we know that the Israelites today are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and that's who the Lord is coming for, starting with his elect, pursuant to what? Romans 11:7, man. Alright, now, this is the book of Matthew chapter 20 verse 1. It says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard." So let's keep account of those words, laborers and vineyards and the particular hour, right? He says, "And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace." Now what I want to do for y'all brothers is break down when they say, like third hour, 6th hour. All right, that's what I want to do, and I have my notes here. So the third hour, Salakia. Well, actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the whole part up to the 6th verse, and I'm gonna go down into breaking down this particular hour. So he said, so he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. So you got the first hour and you got the third hour. I'm just gonna tell you straight up, all right? So the third hour, the first hour will consist about, the first hour is around 6 a.m., our equivalent. All right, it's the first hour to the third hour is around 9 a.m., you know what I'm saying? So the third hour will be roughly like 9 o'clock in the morning, you know what I'm saying? Because what, you're supposed to pray 3 times a day, all right? Which is the third hour, the 6th hour, the 9th hour, all right? All right, so, because the 12th hour would start the night, which is roughly about 6 p.m. But we're gonna get into that, man. All right. It says, when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard, and he went out about the third hour and saw others standing in the idle in the marketplace. So he went out in the morning, basically. All right, that's the third hour, around 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, is our equivalent. And said unto them, "Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you." And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th hour and 9th hour, and did likewise. So the sixth hour would be what? If the third hour is 9 in the morning, that 6th hour will be around 12. All right, and that 9th hour will be around 3. Okay, 3 p.m. Okay. So pretty much doing things throughout the day, laboring throughout the day, looking for laborers in the day, right? It says, "And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all day idle?" Now I want to jump down to the 9th verse. It says, "And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny." So you got guys that were coming into this thing, whether you came in it, whether the 90s, the 2000s, you have brothers that's going to come at the 11th hour, all right? And the reason I want to spotlight the 11th hour, because when you go into our custom, the 11th hour, right around the 12th hour is when the workday is done. There's no more work to be done. Around the 12th hour, which would be the equivalent of around 6 p.m. So around 5 p.m., you got laborers, right, that came in and got the same penny as the guys that were working all day. Represents you got brothers that's going to come in when the work is just about to be finished, all right? Because the 11th hour, or 5 p.m., all right, is 1 hour before the workday is closed, all right? Because you did not work at evening, you did not work at night, which is roughly around 6 p.m., all right? Because that 6 p.m. started the night, all right? Now I want to back it up. The fact that we had 12 hours in our day and 12 hours in our night, which we divided into 3 parts originally, and when the Romans, we added the 4th part. All right, so I'm gonna go into that. What I want to do is I want to go into the book of John. The book of John, chapter 11. Pardon me. The book of John, chapter 11, verse 9. It says, Yahushua answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? So there's 12 hours in the day, and they were broken down in particular parts, man. All right? It says, so we know that what? The day ended with the 12th hour. Okay? So from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. is 12 hours. And those particular hours were broken up into what? All right? 4 parts, man. All right? It says, if any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. So we walking in the day. Right now is daytime. Now is the time to be doing the work. We're still in the day. When the Yahushua approaches, when the end of that watch comes, around the equivalent of night, evening, the work day is done, man. All right, we're done, meaning we're gonna be done teaching this thing, man. It's gonna be a wrap for this. All right, and it's time to get delivered. Okay, but you're gonna have brothers at that last minute. All right, that 11th hour could be looking up in the chariot, believing. All right, and being saved, man. So that right there proves it's not about how much you know. Okay, this thing is about election, so you always got to stay humble. All right, now just backing up my statements about, the hours being broken up. Just going into big detail on the 11th hour and sharing particular information, because, understanding is very important. Understanding is very important, and when you do your research on what the Lord is saying, and you understand the particular customs at the time, scriptures make more sense, man. So what I want to do is I want to go to Nehemiah, the 9th chapter, and the 3rd verse, okay? Showing that our days were broken up into parts, man. That's how come you read about the 6th hour, the 9th. I believe our Lord died on the what? The 9th hour, all right? Which was roughly around 3 p.m. when it said complete silence, all right, from the 6th to the 9th. So from 12 to 3, all right? Now this is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 3. It says, and all the rulers of the province, Salakia, I'm in Esther. Salakia, brothers. I'm in Esther. I got to go to Nehemiah. All right. Make sure this thing is still recording. All right, we good. This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 3. It says, and they stood up in their place and read in the book of the law of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua their power on the 4th part of the day, and another 4th part they confessed and worshiped the Lord their power. So what would be the 4th part of the day? Probably in the morning. All right, from what? From 6 in the morning to 9 in the morning would be like that first hour onto the 3rd hour. So probably from 6 to 12. You know what I'm saying? So just going on the fact that the days and in these particular hours, you can't be looking at it like, okay, 11th hour is 11 p.m. Nah, man, all right? We have particular customs, all right? So we understand what the Lord is saying when he says, you had guys going out there in particular times of the day. Meaning you had guys coming in this truth at different particular seasons, all right? But we still in the daytime, man. How do we know that we still in the daytime? Because we still laboring, all right? When the laboring ends, when the laboring comes to a close, when Yahushua comes down, all right, come back with his chariots, pursuant to the book of Acts chapter 1, verse 7. The chariots is what the so-called white man call UFOs, all right? But they IFOs in the Bible. They identified as the chariots of Israel, 2 Kings 11 and 7, man, all right? That whirlwind that took Elijah up, all right? In fact, when you read about the pillar of the fiery pillar at night, it tells you that it came around, actually, let me get that, man, because not only was the day divided into 4 parts, all right, but the night was also divided into parts. And I'm going to go to a few scriptures to prove that, man. All right? And what they do is they call it watches, man. All right? Because you had a beginning of watch, a mid-watch, and an end of watch, man. Which was different particular hours, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first watch. And the first watch can be found in the book of Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 19. Okay? This is Lamentations 2 and 19. It says, arise, cry out in the night. In the beginning of the watches, pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands towards him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street. So it says the beginning It says in the beginning of the watches, all right? So the beginning of the watches, all right, will be from what? 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is that first watch, right? Now let's go to the second watch, all right? Which is the book of Judges. Go to Judges real quick. The book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 14. Yeah, man, so, you know, when you read these scriptures, man, it's always good to research what these particular things are talking about. Can't really see the timing on there, but I'm just going to go to the stop. Let's see, 7 and 14, it says, and his fellow answered, in Judges 7 and 14, and his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel, for into his hand has the Most High delivered the Midianites. Maybe that's 19. Let me see. Yep. Judges, pardon me. Judges 7 and 19. It says, so Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came onto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch. So the beginning of the middle watch. We talk about the first watch, which was from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now it says the beginning of the middle watch. So that would be from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. at night. So we seeing that the night was also breaking up into parts. You had 12 hours in a day, 12 hours in a night. Each of them were breaking up into particular parts, man. All right? It says the camp beginning in the middle of the watch, and they had but newly set the watch and blew the trumpets and break the pitchers that were in their hands. So this happened, this particular act in Judges happened around at nighttime, man. All right? The equivalent would be about like 9 p.m. You know what I'm saying? Now that we got the first watch, the middle watch, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that last watch, and that's found in the book of Exodus chapter 14, verse 24, all right? Letting you know, when you read the scriptures, it's good to look these things up so you can kind of get an idea of what, you know, how dark it was, and, you know, just get more detail out of the scriptures, man. Get more life out of the scriptures. This is the book of Exodus chapter 14, verse 24. And it came to pass that in the morning watch, the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. So why would it say the morning watch? Because the morning watch, all right, was that night approaching into the morning, man. So roughly 12 to 3 a.m., man, according to these scholars out there when you look it up, man. All right, and now also, that was in the what they call the Old Testament era. And when you look at the fourth watch, because the fourth watch is in the New Testament as well, which I'm going to bring out, that was introduced by the Romans, man. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the book of Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14, right? Verse 25. What I'm doing is, you know, what the Apostle Elder Gabar said, man. Certain lessons you got to start showing your face, man. All right? Now, this is 14 and 25 now. It says, Matthew 14 and 25, it says, and in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went out unto them walking on the sea. So this was pretty damn late at night. It says the fourth watch of the night. So the first watch of the night is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then you have from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Then you have from 12 p.m. to 3 a.m. Then you have like from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., man. All right? So that right there lets you know that what? The night was also broken up into parts, man. And the Romans introduced that fourth watch, man. Now, I'm going to show you, according to the scriptures, how we described these 4 watches, man. So now when you read about when that cock crowing and Yahushua's Passover, you can see, like, the time periods match up, man. The cock crowing around a particular time because it happened at night, right, into morning. All right, that whole event of the Passover going down like that. All right, so I brought out Matthew 14 and 24 to show you that around the time of Yahushua, we had the fourth watch at night, meaning the night was also broken up into 4 parts, 3 hours each, man. All right, 12, okay? Now what I want to do is, from there, I want to go to Mark. I'm going to go to the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 35. Now, I'm going to bring everything full circle after this scripture, man. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13. Lord willing. I'm going to go, Salakia. I'm so used to the phone, man. I haven't used my actual Bible like that. I'm so used to using my phone. Bear with me, brothers. Okay. Here we go. Mark chapter 13, verse 35 now. It says, "Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh." At evening, all right? So at evening, we talk about night, all right? Because the evening, in our custom, evening started the actual day. That's how come at the Passover, is from the Sabbath is from evening to evening. So the night actually started the day, man, not the other way around, all right? So it says, "Knoweth not when the house," I'm reading again, Mark chapter 16, verse 35. "Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at evening, or at midnight, or at cock crowing, or in the morning." All right, you see that? So the night, the evening was broken up into 4 parts, man. It says you don't know if he's gonna come at evening, all right? So that would be from what? 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. All right, that's one part. It says, or at midnight, right, from 9 to 12. It says, or at cock crowing, all right, which is that 12 to 3-ish, or at morning, which is that 3 to 6-ish, man. All right, equivalent. All right. Now the reason I'm bringing all this out, you know what I'm saying, and I'm talking about the laborers coming in at night, that 11th hour, is because at the 12th hour, that's when work ceased. At the evening, that's when work ceased, man. We didn't do no overnight back in the ancient world, man. All right, and what I want to do is I want to go to the book of Psalms 104 to prove that, man. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 104. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 104, verse 23. It says, "Man goeth forth unto his work, and to his labor until evening." So the evening, all right, or the 12th hour, or 6 p.m. if you will, today, is when this work is coming to a close. And the clock is turning, man. All right, we see these different prophecies pursuant to the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter. All right, letting you know that what? That the hour is turning, man, and the Most High is gonna have his son return. All right, and you're gonna have brothers coming at that 11th hour, that last minute of the work being ended, man. All right, now we talk about laborers. All right, now we gotta understand that this thing that we're doing right here is a labor, man. All right, now what I want to do is I want to go to the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "For we are laborers together with the Most High. Ye are the Most High's husbandry. You are the Most High's building." All right, and we know what we are the house of the Most High, man. Acts 7 and 48. The Most High dwelleth not in temples made in hands. The Most High dwelling in each particular brother, each member of the elect. All right, representing that stone, building up the 3rd temple that's mentioned about in Ezekiel the 40s, man. Ezekiel the 40th chapter up to the 40 to 44th chapter, the 3rd temple. All right, and Yahushua, pursuant to the book of Psalms, chapter 118, is that chief cornerstone, man. All right, so that's the temple being built. But the scriptures also spoke about what? That we're the Most High's laborers and the Most High's vineyard, man. And we know that what? Laborers don't work at night, man. So we working, all right? But pursuant to the book of what? Romans chapter 13, verse 11, all right? That what? Let me actually get it, man. Let me actually get it. So I'll read it right, and I'm going to close out with Ecclesiasticus. That's if the clock don't run out on this phone. This is Romans chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "And that knowing the time, that is now high time to wake out of sleep." So it's morning, it's daytime, right? Now it's time to labor. It says, "For now is our salvation nearer than we believe. The night is far spent." So the night is done, all right? We ain't in the nighttime no more, all right? There ain't no time to be resting, ain't no time to be sleeping. Now's the time to be proactive in this thing, man. It says, "The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light." So it's pretty much daytime, man, all right? It's those particular hours that we started about in the book of Matthew, the 20th chapter, the time to be working, the time to be laboring and not being idle, man, all right? And now the scriptures in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 tells us that what? We're laborers, all right, and we're the Most High's husbandry, meaning we're the Most husbandry is one that plants seed, man, all right, which is a form of labor itself. What's the seed that we planted? Well, pursuant to the book of Luke, the seed is the word of the Most High, and pursuant to the book of Matthew, the 13th chapter, the field is the world, man. So we planting the seed of the Most High. We planting this knowledge in the world, man. Via the internet too, man. We out there in the highways and byways on the weekend, but the main vehicle that the Most High have us using is this internet, man, pursuant to the book of Psalms chapter 19. All right? Now what I want to do is I want to go to Ecclesiasticus 7 and 15. It says, hate not laborious work, neither husbandry, which the Most High hath ordained. All right? So we're not supposed to be hating this laborious work, man. No spiritual or physical laborious work, man. All right, the scriptures talk about being slothful and being idle. We're not supposed to be doing that, man. All right, and we're supposed to be that husbandry doing the work of the Most High. All right, and if we're the Most High's building, the scriptures tell us in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter and the 17th verse. All right, through slothfulness the house decayeth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I get that. I'm gonna close with that, man. See if I could get that. Ecclesiastes 10 verse 17, I believe it is. It's Ecclesiastes, the 10th chapter, but bear with me, brothers. Let me see if I can find it. Ecclesiastes 10. Oh, 18. Slakia. This is Ecclesiastes 10 verse 18. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of hand the house droppeth through. So if we're buildings and you're being slothful, guess what? Your house is going to decay, man. All right? Spiritually, you're going to break your ass down. That's some niggas that, you know, get a good paying job and say, fuck it, man, I'll take that Saturday. I don't want to go out. All right? Well, you know what? I'm on hard times. This truth ain't working for me. Uptight money ain't getting me nowhere. Fuck it, I'm gonna stop doing this thing and go back in the world. That's you niggas that became slothful and idle, man. All right? And them demons what came back up in your ass, man. Which is a scary and fucked up thing that we don't want to do, man. That's how come we do this thing, as the scripture says about in Hebrews the 11th chapter, Noah being moved with fear. All right? So you're supposed to be fearing the Most High, man, and doing this thing in truth and sincerity. Because if you're not, straight up, the Most High is gonna kill you, man. Ain't no way. I ain't gonna sugarcoat this shit, man. All right? So, hey, in summarizing, the 11th hour represents what? All right, 1 hour from the 12th hour, 1 hour away from the 12th hour, which the 12th hour is evening when work ceases, man. So you're gonna have brothers that's gonna come in this fold, all right, right about the time when this work is ceasing, man. All right, and they're gonna get the same reward as a man that's been doing the work since the first hour, man. All right. So I hope you brothers were edified. All right. I really hope you brothers, you know, could look up this thing on your own if you want to, the breakdown of the hours and such, because I did it on my own, but it's, you know, to regurgitate off the top of my mind was a bit harder, you know, I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't like on the phone, if you will, where I could just show you. But if you're really interested, you look it up, you know, for yourself. Hey, so with that, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakodash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of great millstone with you well. And salutations to the hopeful elect out there, man. You Akim Tazadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.